We look to be live.
Are we live?
We're live.
We're live. It's not popping up as live, but hey, we're live. That's what it says. So, hi everybody. I'm Elliot Brecht with Team Cheeky, and today I have with me Lisa, Sarah, and Alejandra, and we're going to discuss some of those surprises that we came across when we first realized the differences between a industry professional resume and that academic CV that we all came to know and love from using way too much back in our academic careers. And this is how you have to go through, and like some of the surprises that we found that we needed to go through to transition into industry. And we wanted to share these with you so that you can get some of that insight and then potentially utilize some of these things so you can transition as well. Wanting to keep this brief, we're going to have a longer webinar later on this evening that you're more than welcome to join that'll really go into in-depth for you. But initially wanted to go through some of those things that like really just stood out to us before we transitioned. And I'd like to ask Sarah, what was one of the biggest things that you initially saw and like surprised you the most whenever you realized this is what an industry professional resume should look like?
Right. So one of the biggest things that surprised me was that you can't just include every single thing you've ever done ever on your industry resume, because for a lot of it, the person reading it is not going to care. So I had to sort of figure out what actually is relevant for what I'm looking for. And you always sort of have to answer the question, so what, right? Like, why is this important and what did I accomplish doing it? Which is a completely different like tone shift from a CV. So for me, figuring out how to put that, put what I've done into an industry relevant tone and focusing on the things that are most relevant was actually sort of the biggest hurdle in terms of getting familiar with the industry resume.
No, that's great, because of course we did so many great things and we want everyone to know about them. And it is really hard to get away from that mindset of like, I can't tell everybody everything I did. How you need to go over and figure out what are the best things to really highlight yourself so you can get that job, because we want everyone to know everything we did, because we did so much with our PhD. And so it's a hard thing to get around. Alejandra, is there something else that you saw that was, similar or different that really surprised you?
Yes, well, the first thing that, like one of the things that surprised me the most was to know that hiring managers and recruiters don't read everything that you put on your resume. They will skim it for a couple of seconds and that's it. Like, so you basically have 6 seconds to make an impact and show them that you're the best candidate for the job. So that also actually ties with what Sarah says. Everything that you put in your resume has to be relevant, because they're not reading. They won't take the time to dig deep until they find like these important things. You have to make an impact. You have to make it quick. You have to know what they're looking for, and you have to show that to them.
No, that's great, because it is one of those things. Is like, we think that our academic things, these are the best things, is what we want to go through, and then you're used to listing out everything, writing out every publication, having something that's like huge, like look at all these things I did, I presented all these places, I did all this stuff. But like, no one has the time in industry to really look through these and say, what does this actually mean, and like, do I care? And you want to catch them and say, you care about me because of this, quickly, and get them to like on the hook so they will read more, and it is, you have this really quick, you said 6 seconds initially, and like if you can catch them there, you can then, get them to read actually the rest of it, and still needing to be concise. It is one of those things that's another hard thing to just think of as a PhD, because we did so much. Lisa, do you have anything else that you'd like to add? I know we've already got some great examples of those surprising moments.
Oh, I think I can always find something else to add. So what I would say, in addition to the great insights shared by both Sarah and Alejandra and yourself, I would add that, so what is relevant to hiring managers, what's relevant to employers who are looking to see whether or not you're the right fit candidate is going to be obviously transferable skills and measurable results. Those are two very critical aspects to make sure that you include in your resume, in all aspects of your resume. Every single sentence essentially should have these in them. And then one of the other things, just in terms of thinking back when I first joined the association, before I learned about all of my actual abilities, one of the things that I found really surprising is that as a PhD, as an academic PhD, I had a lot of results to really talk about. I didn't have a lot of publications. I didn't have a lot of like conferences and presentations and posters and talks or anything of like, I didn't have a lot of that stuff. I had some, but I didn't have a lot of that stuff. So there's a lot of times we get stuck on, I don't have any results. I don't have anything that actually matters. I don't have anything that like and this is where the imposter syndrome comes in, because we all have experience with that to some degree in one way or another. But we all get down on ourselves and think, I don't have anything. I'm not valuable. Nothing I say, it doesn't matter, right? You know, and on the one hand of it, we can be like, I'm a PhD, I have lots of skills, I'm awesome, I can do anything. On the other hand, on the other side of it, we're like, I don't have anything to offer. So we can have both sides of this exact same coin going on at the same time, which is always very interesting and very confusing. But the point is that you have lots of skills. The key thing is to learn to see yourself differently, so that way you can present yourself differently and you can communicate about yourself differently to yourself and to people you're talking to, right? And one of the things that we like to help our members with is to really recognize what results, what they've actually really achieved. So one of the things that I find really helpful to think about is if you can quantify something, if you can add a number to something, that is a result. So if you're talking about something, because so often too, when we're looking at resumes in like from our members and for myself, when I first joined, I would always talk about, several this or numerous that, or, what other acronyms or synonyms could there be for that? But anyway, there's always like just several, there's, numerous, those are results. If you say that, if you say numerous, if you say several, add a number, you have a result and you're done. Just keep moving on from there. I mean, there's more work than that, but nevertheless, that's a good place to start. So that would be probably a couple of tips into one.
No, that's it's great. Yeah, because it is one of those things, I know I did, I presented lots of conferences, I did lots of things, I did these, and that's what we do, whenever I first did my resume, I listed out all of like the technical things I had done, but not like what I actually accomplished with them. And, thinking like, oh, I can't apply for anything but, something that has all of these skills, all these technical skills I did, and would just dismiss every other opportunity because I'm like, oh, I don't have that skill. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And it's like, oh, wait, actually I did, and CSA really helped me to realize that I had done all these other things that I didn't think about because they just were sort of like, they weren't the focus of what my PhD was on. And so like, oh, they're not what I'm actively doing. Like I didn't think about learning these other skills, doing these other things. And they are skills. And those are the skills that industry really wants. They can get 100,000 people that all can do and run the specific assay, but like they need those people who can do those other things. And you need to highlight those other things that you can do that you all learned. You just don't think of them as in the forefront of your mind that I did these things, I accomplished these things, I learned these stuff, I mastered it. PhDs, we master lots and lots of things. We just get focused on just one.
We tend to forget that those other things really matter and that they actually are things, right? As eloquently as Elliot put them, there are things. There are things that you really have done and that you have skills in.
We went through. But we're going to go through and, Isaiah and other members are going to discuss a lot more of these things and what you can do to really fix that resume, make it so that you can get that industry position that you really want and that will actually fit you so much better than how you're being treated in academia. Going to be doing that a little bit later this evening, and would love for you guys to join to learn more. And thank you for joining us, and best of luck, and remember your value of the PhD and keep thinking and acting like an industry professional.
One small thing, the link to the webinar is in this message, so you can just use
in
it
the
there
post.
right now.
On the post, whatever that is. Yeah.
Depending how you're looking at us.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.